My dear compatriots, since February 21st, Cameroonian teachers have engaged in a legitimate strike to defend their basic rights as workers, civil servants, and public sector agents. This situation, which has lasted for almost a month, is vis-à-vis the teachers humanly unsustainable and profoundly unfair on the legal basis as well as on the basis of the Republican citizenship. Its persistence is likely to compromise the current school year with various consequences for those of our children who are lucky enough to be in school. Here I reiterate my solidarity with these teachers who are striking peacefully by dint of arguments with dignity and high sense of their civic responsibilities. It is now a question of exposing our contribution in the search for ways out of this crisis, which must challenge every Cameroonian, regardless of political affiliations or religious convictions. Faced with each crisis that has shaken our country, I have never refrained from making my modest suggestions for their peaceful resolution. And each time, those in power have responded with indifference, even contempt, and occasionally have stolen an idea from a coherent whole without obtaining the expected results, as for good reason. To remain silent, especially in the face of the current crisis, will give the incorrect impression to Cameroonians that we do not think much, or that there will not be in this country alternative political forces capable of providing appropriate solutions to the problems facing the nation. This is why, instead of making proposals to the government in place that will receive no attention or will be viewed with condescension, I prefer to explain to you, dear compatriots, the measures that would have been taken by us to resolve the current teachers' strike as soon as possible if we were in power. These are 5 measures for immediate implementation and result. Firstly, immediately set up joint committee composed on the one hand of teachers' representatives and on the other government representatives, in particular of the ministries concerned, with the mission of determining the exact amount of the state debt vis-à-vis teachers within 7 days. Secondly, immediately pay 50% of the debt. Then proceed with the securitization of the remaining 50% with maturity of 6 months. In this way, teachers holding bonds will be able, if they do not want or cannot wait for the term of the 6-month maturity, to immediately negotiate their bonds with banks to obtain fresh money. Thirdly, give a period of 7 days to all the ministries concerned with the situation of the teachers to integrate all those already recruited and awaiting integration. Fourthly, make a supplementary budget to take into account the financial effects of those integrations in the current budget year. Fifthly, for the following up of the teacher's career, in order to put an end to red tape, the practice of, quote, going to follow the file in Yaoundé, unquote, and the corruption that disturbs the circuit, dematerialize the files of civil servants thanks to a software that will include the career process, as we already exposed in our manifesto during the 2018 presidential campaign. This dematerialization will allow advancements and financial effects to be automatic, of course, with the necessary correction induced by the behavior of the civil servants or agent, his attendance, and his actual presence in the service. In this manner, people leaving training school, as well as those recruited by competitive examination or by other legal means, will receive, as soon as they pass the end of training or recruitment exams, a registration number which will remain throughout their career and which will be taken into account from the first salary. In this way, the state will at all times have a precise view of the number of new personnel and will be able to make its expenditure forecast accordingly. There will be no more need to accumulate arrears. These measures should be applied to the 3 levels of education: basic education, secondary education, and higher education, so that all the claims of the entire education sector are taken into account, that the state has a complete view of the amount of its debts vis-à-vis this sector, and that it provides a global solution in order to avoid repeated crises. Long live the teacher, pillar of social fabric, national construction, and economic development. May God protect Cameroon.